All right, welcome to the 86 Reason podcast. This is a show about the incredible, unique, sometimes insane individuals that make this restaurant world incredible and continue to move forward. And today, I'm with a really interesting and unique character, Ty Shehadi. And what is your official title, Ty?
I'm the head of strategic partnerships at Restaurant365. So right now I'm kind of leading the charge of all partnerships as we kind of redefine a partner ecosystem here. That we, if you know anything about us, we kind of sit in the middle of that back office tech stack. So it's been cool. It's been a ride for sure.
Ty, what you do, for starters, it seems like a huge job and undertaking. So from the outside in, I can only imagine all the conversations, all the people who reach out to you, all of the different people you're trying to satisfy and whatnot. So from outside in, I can only imagine how crazy your day-to-day is. But I feel like your story goes pretty deep, and I feel like restaurants, for any of us, where you are now, I'm sure is certainly not where you may have envisioned yourself years ago. So I guess to start, Ty, have you worked in restaurants yourself before you got to this incredible position you're currently in?
Yeah, man. I grew up in restaurants. Outside of being a paper boy, when I was probably like 10 or 11 slanging papers, trying to get candy money. My first job was in a restaurant. It was the first place I could work because it was just some mom and pop. So they didn't care if I had like a worker's permit or anything. And they also didn't care if I worked, I could work as many hours as I wanted. So I started off as a busboy and just moved my way up to the official omelet maker at the brunch buffet. So that was quite the promotion.
So hold on though. Let's just take a pause right there. So I also am part of the busboy brethren. That was my first job ever. I didn't do the paper route, but I did. I was a busboy at let's say like the local cool hip restaurant of the time. I grew up in South Jersey. Where were you? Have you always been in Ohio, or where was this? Your first job?
It was in Ohio. I haven't always been in Ohio. Actually, started in Chicago. I spent 6 or 7 years in Atlanta. But as far as my working career, most of it has been in Ohio. Actually, most of the companies as an adult have actually been in either California or New York, but I've stayed based here. Yeah.
All right. So you get this busser job, and how long? What kind of spot was this?
It was an Italian spot owned by Greeks, of course. It makes no sense, but
the Greeks are the best at everything. When it comes restaurant, they're so good at all of it. So I could see that.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was they did on Tuesdays, they did Pasta Mania, which is kind of like the bottomless bowl that Olive Garden does. So that was pretty awesome, but it was more of like a buy one get one. It was a great local spot. It's not open anymore. It's actually, the building's torn down. I think it's like a Family Dollar or something now. But yeah, it was. I used to work. I was a busboy, and then I was a banquet server, and they did a lot of weddings there, and that was like the best. Like being a banquet server at a wedding when I'm 13, 14 years old.
You were that young?
Oh yeah, because everybody's getting so hammered. Like it's just a fun environment. The music's blasting. It was always fun to do that.
Oh, dude! So you caught the bug very early. Listen, I think I was 15 when I first got my busser job, And that first night that like a server was happy with my work and I got like a $48 tip out, dude, I went
Yeah.
back to high school and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm stacking it. You know what I mean? And I could only imagine. So that young, you were in the restaurant
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I, I came from a pretty, poor upbringing. So, for me, I wanted to, like, if I wanted anything or if I wanted to do anything, I had to go out and get it. So,
Yeah.
it's like, I wanted to, I think when I was 14, like I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone. And when I was 14, my mom's like, if you pay the bill, you can get a cell phone. I'm like, all right, well, let
Dude.
me go get another paper out now.
Dude.
So yeah, it was I loved it. I think the thing about the restaurant industry is, and then I grew from there, through college, serving, bartending. I graduated college at the start pretty much of the Great Recession. I went to school for finance. And so, I'm interviewing against dudes with 10, 12 years of experience. And I was serving and bartending at the time. So I had an opportunity to take a restaurant manager job. And I'm like,
oof. What did you do?
This isn't the industry that I was planning on staying in, but I'm in it now.
Oh man. So you went through
Yeah.
all the schooling and probably did like some shifts while you're, in school and doing that whole thing. And then ultimately you did you take that job?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I did that for a couple years until I got to a point where I got put into this program called Ladders, where it's like the fast track to be a proprietor.
Okay.
And it's like I had to make a decision. I'm either staying in here or like I'm gonna get out. And I was like, I need to get out, nights and weekends. I'm 23, 24 years old.
I know, dude. I did the
every
same.
holiday.
It's
tough.
It's crazy to me because we have very parallel experiences. Busboy, working through school, end up taking a management job. When you were that age, what do you think it was about restaurants at that point? I mean, you knew it. Obviously, you loved the energy. But like, I always remember, especially at that age, there was a lot of team members and people that I worked with that were like career servers, making great money. They have flexibility, of course. You have to give up your weekends and whatnot, but say you want to go to Spain or whatever, you just get people to cover your shift. And it had and of course, you're getting tipped out, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it was that compelled you? Because in many cases, you're taking a step back financially to take a management gig, right? Like, what do you think it was about the industry? Like, did you want the management experience? Did you think that, like, I wonder, because I probably went through a lot of these things myself at that age.
Yeah. I think for me, taking the management role was like, it was a career, right? I could stay serving, bartending, making more money, but it's like I just graduated college. I was like, this feels like the move. I was also doing before I did that, I was doing a sales role too, and I was like, what, like, but it was 100% commission sales, so it's like I thought I could build up a foundation by the time I graduated, but it's like I didn't build up a foundation fast enough,
Yeah.
So and I loved the industry. My brother's in the industry. He's a chef. And so I was always front of house, and it was like, oh, we had this near-term goal that like one day we'll open a restaurant,
Yeah.
And then, and then life happens. Right. But
does.
But I think managing the restaurant, what was interesting is I worked for a corporate restaurant, and we had a very strict no fraternizing policy. And that's not just like men to women. It's also like a guy server and the manager, you guys can't be boys and go hang out and watch football games or whatever on Sunday. And you think about that age of your life, you go from, you have your group of friends from high school or college or whatever, and then you go and you meet your professional friends. And like, that was probably the hardest piece, is that I really enjoyed the people that I worked with, but like you couldn't technically even be friends with them.
Ah,
But I got it. It made sense, like,
I get it too. It's one of
I
those
can't give X the best section on
why
a
not,
Friday
dude?
night because we're boys.
Why not? I'm bringing the wings on Sunday,
Yeah. Right.
It's a very interesting
Yeah.
thing, Ty,
Yeah.
especially like when you're young and you're doing your best to be objective and be fair. It's really hard, but um, like one of the things that's most gratifying, and I'm not talking about going out and getting hammered with staff, but like you have a ripping Saturday and you go to where everybody hangs out. And this was, I enjoyed this. Go to where everybody hangs out and obviously have a professional line. But like, for example, the back of the house guys like got their ass kicked and you're like, hey, I want to get those guys a beer. Like that is
Yeah.
a very gratifying part of,
Yeah.
so I can only imagine, I mean, it's mature, I think, what you're talking about with a corporate setting where they want to keep some policies in place that don't blur the lines, but
Yeah.
it's not typical.
It definitely felt a little old school. But I guess it made sense. What you ended up seeing is a lot of people transferring to other locations because like,
Right. Oh, because you were
yeah,
allowed to hang out with other location staff?
yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Got it.
So it's like, maybe somebody decided that they wanted to get into a relationship, and next thing you know, they're not the manager at the Columbus location. Now they're in Dublin, Ohio,
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So Ty, how long did you manage restaurants for?
I did that for, I mean, technically about, I think three and a half years. I was like, sir, I was in restaurants working inside the four walls of a restaurant for probably, I don't know, 11 or 12 years. And then, I left and I got into a sales role, and then got into sales leadership, and then, took a step back actually from a sales leader to be an outside sales rep to get back into the restaurant space, into a role that was selling to restaurants. And because like every moment, and I'm sure you understand this, like even today I say, like Sunday, I'm actually going to go work a bartending shift at the bar that I'm partnered in, and it's because like you miss it, when you're outside the four walls, you want to get back in it, but when you're in it, you're like, man, what I would do to leave.
What is it about?
I think that's the crazy.
Did you literally work a
It's
shift
the
this past
people,
Sunday?
it's the food.
Did you literally work a shift last Sunday?
I mean, this upcoming Sunday I am.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about this because this is I miss it all the time. And there are times, for example, like I'm at the bar. I don't know why. I do know why. Anytime I go to a bar of any client, any restaurant, I'm at the airport or I'm like, doing a business dinner and I show up beforehand. Dude, I always sit at the bar and I love sitting close to the service bar because I miss so much. Just like the quiet time before the ramp up and like you're getting ready. It's like 6 o'clock. It's not busy yet, but it's about to be. You got your first table. You're waiting for drinks. The best conversations to me happen at the service well, happen by the line, and let's not forget the gems of conversations I've had by the trash, like outside.
Oh yeah.
And so like, what's it like now that you actually have an opportunity? So we'll get into your bar, but like, what's it like being in the restaurant when you don't have to be necessarily, like when you choose to?
Yeah. It's different. I think the thing that I think's interesting is when you come from the industry that you even if you don't have to be there, like you always have that motor.
Yeah.
So like when I'm in there, I can't sit down, and I'm floating around at all times. I'm doing something,
Yeah.
and it's just because that's just how you're wired. Um, and my brother who runs it, he thinks it's funny. He's like, when I come in, it's like other people are like, oh yes, Ty's in. I know I don't have to do that.
Oh, because you just pick up slack for everybody because you got all this endless energy.
Right. He also said, and this is something that I think you'll appreciate, because when I heard this, it actually blew my mind. I was telling him, I was like, hey, Joe and Susie and so, I was like, man, they're awesome. Like, they are always on top of their game. And he's like, dude, that's only when you're here. Like, he's like, I was like, wait, I'm that like guy that comes in and they feel like they have to be on their P's and like it like blew my mind, because I've never looked at myself as that, or thought that that somebody else would. But it's almost like, oh, corporate's here,
You're the regional dude. And listen, Ty, I mean, I gotta imagine it, right? Like, so think about it like this, right? So I can often look back on my restaurant experience, and for better or worse, right? You get into this groove, you get into a routine, like, I'll be the first to admit I was waking up at 10 o'clock, just barely getting to pre-shift, pre-meal at 2, to then like go into meetings and then, run the restaurant. And like, my life was completely surrounded by restaurants, right? Like, every decision I made, what parties am I going to? Am I going to go visit my cousins for their birthday? Can you do it on Sunday? It's my only day off. That kind of stuff. And I used to always look at people from outside the restaurant, even though I loved everything about the restaurant. I used to look at people from the outside, wine sales people, the regionals, and just be like, I wonder what their life is like. And dude, you're a special case, because not only are you coming in and rocking it behind the bar or wherever you're helping, but I'm sure they see you as a potential future exit from, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to get a job at R365. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Dude, that's a great point. I've actually have been, tapped a couple times. Like, if you're ever hiring, so that's a really good, that's a really good point. I think the one thing when you come in, and into a restaurant, and especially in my situation when I'm not in there all the time, I think, and I see this with other owners, and it kind of bums me out. But when I go in, I think I really try to be cognizant of the fact that, like, I'm not in here all the time.
Yeah.
And the people who are, like, they're in here every day and they're busting their ass. So just because, like, I'm coming in on this Friday or this Sunday and I'm doing something, like, I have to acknowledge the fact that, like, the person next to me who might be a little bit slower is on their 5th straight day.
Yeah.
Slanging drinks behind the bar,
Yeah, dude. I remember the regional would always come in. I used to work at the Capitol Grill, and I was like, oh, here we go, dude. Here we go.
Okay.
Because the
Darden guy.
Well, this was before Darden. This was back in the rare hospitality days, right? And
I was a rare hospitality guy. I was at Longhorn.
Oh, bro. Are we? Yeah. There's something going on here. I feel like maybe we're like parallel humans in just like the different parts of the matrix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, I will say at NRA, somebody asked if you were my brother.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really funny. Your teeth are way nicer than mine. I'll tell you that right now.
No way, dude.
So when I was working at the Capitol Grill, I worked at the Capitol Grill in Philly. And I'll tell you, man, back to that corporate experience, I learned so much there. There was great training. There was incredible people that knew their shit every part of the shift, whether it was kitchen, it was prep, it was the restaurant managers. There was systems for everything, right? And it was really eye-opening to me because I'd only worked in mom and pops up until that point, and I didn't know what level this could get to in terms of like execution and standards, the secret shoppers, the bathrooms, dude, all this stuff, right? But we had a regional that would come in, and I was like one of the youngest servers. So the regional came in, and it was time to clean. And like when the regional came in, I knew. I was like, I would hit up on my friends on the BlackBerry phone that I bought with my first server job.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember being like, not going to be making it out for the first round of drinks. Let me know where you guys end up, because it was time to clean. The walk-in, the reach-ins, all the soup area. Like, it was time to clean.
Yeah.
And you need that guy.
Yeah. I think it's, that's probably the only thing you've said today that I think where we differ on, where outside of that first job that was with a mom and pop, I was always in like corporate restaurants. And so there was always structure. So then when I got to the unstructured environment, it was like, I'm like, wow, wait, what do you mean? We don't do this, or they don't do this. They don't have something in place here.
Yeah.
Because you think it's commonplace.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's a big challenge in, the restaurant space, coming from a training company, which is where I was at prior to being acquired, is like the system and processes that the training that corporate restaurants have in place. It's pretty impressive. And I'm excited to see tooling get to the place where maybe some of these mom and pops can have a little bit of taste of that, and a chance to retain people. Because, man, you go to a restaurant, you said you like to sit at the bar. I love to sit at the bar.
Me too.
And there's a place downtown Cleveland that they say it's for like speed of service, but they have the QR code on the bar, and then you order from there and you can pay out there. And like the bartender's still supposed to be the bartender, where they come, they recommend drinks, they just don't handle cash. But that's not how it ends up. It ends up that, like, I sit there,
it's crutch,
and I never talk to a human. And like, half the reason I go to sit at a bar is to bullshit with the human. Pardon my French.
Listen, you can speak as much French as you want on this show. All right, we parlez-vous français on this show. Don't you worry. Right. So,
but yeah, that's why you sit at the bar.
I agree. The human connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and all right. So Ty, sorry for swerving, but when all right, so you did sales outside the industry, and then decided you wanted to get back in, which I find to be interesting, because it's like it's the common thread, right, with leaders in the hospitality space. It's like this itch, this thing, this connection, this vibe, this energy that I think restaurant people have. And like, I could tell you, like, even when I go to the supermarket, I can tell who's worked in a restaurant and who hasn't, right? Just by the way they move, the way they're conscious of people around them. Don't be the lady who's just looking at the avocados for 45 minutes. Can I please also look at one? And anyway.
Yeah.
So what kind of sales did you try? And then what was surprising to you about not being in restaurants? And what about restaurants got you back in?
Yeah. So the sales I was in was actually insurance. And like, how do you go to like the polar opposite of fun and exciting? You go to insurance, right?
Yes.
And, I did pretty well. I got promoted, and I was leading a team that was like over Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. And things were going well, but it's like, I hated every minute of it.
Was it just boring? Was it dry?
It was just boring.
Got it.
It was just boring. And I'm like, I can't do this. You would go to like the different events, and it's no disrespect. It's the insurance people there, and I mean, I was the youngest sales manager on my team. This isn't a flex.
No, I get it.
Like, just to put it in perspective, by like probably close to 2 decades.
Really?
And I'm just like, I don't have anything in common with that. Like, I have more in common with the people that I'm hiring.
Right.
But but there's just something about what you said about restaurant people, and it's like you can recognize them, but it's just they're just fun to be around. I think restaurant technology, which I've been in now for as long as I've been in restaurants, it's the same. A lot of the people come from the industry, but even if they don't, um, they're cut from the same cloth. It seems like for at least the successful ones are. So yeah, that's I think the people really make it. It's an enjoyable group to be around. It's an accepting group.
Yeah.
It's I think we really, real recognizes real, and you want to lift each other up. And
it's true.
But you also want to be, like we used to see in the kitchen, like, you add that person that's not carrying their weight, and my kitchen staff would weed them out quicker than I would weed them out. They would make sure that they were never coming back. They're like, so I think that's I love that.
I do too. It's something I miss too. There's like, and it's an interesting point that hasn't been brought up on the podcast before, is that like the work you do in a restaurant, whether it's with a team or it's on your own, it's very visible, right? If you're supposed to do roll-ups, if you're supposed to clean up your side station, if you're supposed to help with clearing tables, or if you're supposed to help run food or whatever, people recognize engaged collaborators, people that are willing to work, to help each other quickly. And I love that about the restaurant. And then I miss that about restaurants, is the respect given to people who get stuff done. You know what I mean? Like, and you're right. I mean, you can tell just by how people walk a floor, how, trying to get through your call list or whatever. You could tell who's been in restaurants, because there is an extra boost, I think. Usually, there's definitely all the people that try to skate on side work and stuff. But there is a lot of people who put it in, put the effort in, put the focus in, are trying to help. So it's an interesting point that I haven't considered.
I think it's a lot of countries make people join the military for a year or two before they, go to college. I think here we should make people work in the hospitality industry before they go into a real job.
Amen.
Like what you learn in the industry, conflict resolution, how to talk to people of, different backgrounds and different life experiences, being held accountable. That's, what you said is spot on. Like everything's visible. If you don't do something, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, it's visible, and you're usually held accountable for it. It's tough to like skate by, like if the walk-in was supposed to be cleaned on Tuesday night, it's easy to know that it was the Tuesday night closer that didn't clean it,
That's correct.
So I think it's unlike other industries in that aspect.
Such an interesting freaking industry. All right, so you get back into sales in restaurants, and now you're on the other side. And let me tell you, that was a big transition for me. I never quite I was like, oh, all my friends will buy everything that I do. This will be easy. Yeah. And boy, was it not. So tell me about your first sales to restaurants thing, because obviously that's led to a whole career in tech.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff were you selling? I mean, and like, how did that transition go from buyer to now seller?
Yeah, I was selling a loyalty platform, and it was like an iPad that was at the host stand, and it was a universal loyalty card, like a card you have on your keychain. You used to have a bunch, like for every grocery store you went to.
Oh,
and this was one card that could work at, so many small businesses, whichever small businesses I sold, right?
Okay.
And I say how much I love the industry, but it's cool because you could customize like your tiers. Like it could be that you get a free shake, or it could be that you got the, punch the owner in his stomach. You can make the rewards, whatever. And, people could see like where they ranked within it. It was pretty sweet.
Okay.
The company doesn't exist anymore, so it wasn't that sweet. But
Listen, man, I feel like the restaurant industry is where ideas go to die. Whether it's
yeah,
whether it's a concept or it's a restaurant tech platform.
yeah,
I mean, so good things and bad things happen in this world,
yeah.
unfortunately.
So we can put a pin in that because I do want to circle back to that. But
Okay.
so I wasn't just, I was selling primarily to restaurants, but I was also selling to other small businesses, salons,
Got
and
it.
things like that. And you see that like a lot of those small business owners are the same as restaurant operators. And what you see is that when it comes to small businesses like the hospitality industry, what you get is you get product specialists that start a business. I make a damn good pizza. I'm going to open a pizza shop. Well, a pizza shop is a business that is more than just you're good at making a pizza, but they don't think about all those other things.
Right.
And that's why a lot of restaurants fail, is because, they might nail the product, but they don't know how to do the other things. And everybody told them every bite of that pizza that they had, they're like, oh, you should open up a pizza shop. So I think that's a big reason for restaurants failing. And I think that's when I went to the other side. As much as I love restaurants, wow, is it hard to sell to restaurants? Like, because one, typically the owner's doing 17 different jobs. And two, like, he knows pizza, he doesn't know technology. And he can't defer you to somebody else to do it because there isn't somebody else. So I think what I realized is it was really tough. And I remember, like, the fact that I'm telling you this, and this is from probably 11 years ago, 12 years ago, I walked into this pizza shop that was like close to where I lived. And I loved their pizza. And the owner was in there making a pizza, and he like flipped out, kicked me out. He's like, I don't want any salespeople, F this, F that, sends me out. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, the lack of awareness, because yes, I walked in as a salesperson, but I'm also a frequent buyer of your pizza, which I will never do again. Yeah. And guess what? I have a big mouth, and I can guarantee you that none of my friends will. It's like, so I think like the lack of respect for salespeople, I think oftentimes we forget as small business owners, like, we're a salesperson too, and we're selling ourselves in our business. So yeah, man, sales is a grind. I have props for everybody that's
doing sales,
slinging anything. Yeah,
dude, you're right. And let me tell you, man, I never understood what I was doing as the operator that I ended up biting me in the ass. And I'll just give you simple examples. Like, I didn't know how to use a calendar when I was a restaurant person. It was just show up at 2. I'm going to be here till 2. And I'm going to do all the things I need to do, whether it's, my punch list was walk the restaurant, check the bathrooms, make sure the music song's good. Now I'm checking in the staff. Is there anything 86th? There's all kinds of things. There's like literally I can probably go through like a whole punch list of stuff to make sure I'm ready for my shift. And deliveries come in, put it away, and then the invoices, which is why I started my company, and blah, 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 right? And when I got to the sales side, the first thing that was so illuminating to me was how hard it was to communicate with restaurant people if you didn't walk in the store. Like, getting them on an email, getting them on a text. Yo, can you introduce me to your controller? Can you introduce me to your CFO? Or showing up for a meeting. Yo, let me show you what this is all about so I can give you some context on how we could work together. Dude, then I realized, I'm like, man, all those times the wine guys came in and I made an appointment, but I forgot, or they brought in a winemaker or whatever. And it was like karma, right? Like, the first 5 years of Shoebox for me was just instant karma. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I cannot believe I did this to other people. And now I'm on the other side of it. It was very eye-opening. Very eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah. That's man, that's a great point. And how many times did you get flaked on when you had a meeting and the restaurant operator just didn't show up for it? But
Still happens today.
yeah, yeah. I mean, boots on the ground is it's so it's so critical in the restaurant industry. I think the leaf is turning now as, different generations.
Yes.
I think more, more millennials are getting into, ownership roles now. But it's still the path of least resistance is, that's how I used to sell to restaurants. I would go in, I'd sit at the bar, I'd order something to eat, I'd talk to the bartender, I'd get all the information I needed because bartenders love to talk.
Yeah.
And then I'd show up again, and it's like, oh, now I'm a familiar face, and
Right.
you can't.
Please don't kick me out.
Yeah, right. I think, the karma. I think about that every time I get a cold call because, like, I get a lot of SDRs that'll call, and I'm like, I feel bad. Like, I don't want to hang up on them because I'm like, man, I know the hustle you're in.
Yes.
Dude, that's a tough role.
I got to tell you, man, because I've done cold calling myself too. I mean, I've tried everything to get in front of people. Of course, we all do, right? Especially in the startup days. And even today, when I get a phone call and I hear the boop, like the first thing, I'm like, all right, is it solar? What's this poor person selling? Let me just tell them no, thank you. Let me tell them no, thank you. But as soon as it's like, hey, I'm here to like help your Discover card, I'm like, all right, you're trying to shiest me. So then I'll hang up.
Yeah.
But everybody else, I give them a second. They probably get excited for no reason. And then I'm like, I'm not interested, but thanks. And can you take me off your list? You know what I mean? Like, empathy, man.
Hey, if I answer the phone and it's like a human that's like, hey, Ty, I've been trying to reach you. Like, I will give you a second, but how many times do you answer it and there's dead air and then, then the operation, I'm like, no, they got me.
Yeah. It's crazy. Do you so let's go into, I guess, your trajectory through restaurant tech. So you were doing this loyalty program. How did that evolve? How did that position evolve, or how did your experience evolve?
So I was doing that, and then I was working for a Chicago-based company. I opened the Cleveland market, and there was a software company based in the Cleveland area that was looking at a recruiter reached out to me and said, hey, there's this small startup that's based in the Cleveland area. They just brought on their first restaurant client, and they're really looking for somebody who has some experience. So I interviewed for him, and I remember I went to the interview in a suit.
Nice.
And and I walked in, and Eric and at the time his partner were in like hoodies, and it was like, it was a tech vibe, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know because it felt like, I understand like Chicago, LA, New York, like I understood that tech vibe, but I didn't think that had infiltrated, the Cleveland market. So that was cool. It was it was a little bootstrap company called ExpandShare. They were at the time a pro service, like they built custom software for enterprises and then also training content as well. I mean, I really loved it. I knew coming from the space, like how big of a need training was in hospitality. So,
and
I made
I was going to say, I mean, and then coming from Rare, right? And then I'm sure being involved with all this other stuff, it's like, man, like, I'm sure it was just like, okay, it all makes sense, right?
Well, and I was there for the Rare transition to Darden as well. So then I saw Darden and I was like, whoa, like Darden's serious.
Okay, dude, I need to know about this a little bit because obviously I saw the other side of it.
Yeah.
And I loved Rare Hospitality. I will tell you right now. Like there's still things I remember, like Edge. Did you guys ever have Edge at Lone Star? There was this thing called Edge, which was exceptionally distinctive guest experience, right? And like, like for example, if somebody came in and is like, oh, I love Mountain Dew, We would straight up run down down the street, get a Mountain Dew, and just surprise the guest, right?
Yeah.
And then
We
put
would
it in
have
an
it in
open
the
table.
office.
Yeah, that exactly right. So
we had a guy that liked A1, and we did not carry A1, so we would keep A1 in the office.
And I'm sure the chef is using it, and the whole staff is using it, and then you're re-upping even though you're not supposed to have it. But what was the vibe like with Darden? So you've been through a couple acquisitions, and we'll get into ExpandShare, but did it change a lot? I remember they changed the POS, and everybody was complaining. I remember that going from Aloha because I had friends that were still there.
So I actually came into Rare when they were already in like the acquisition discussions.
Okay.
And so I think I experienced like a transitionary Rare.
Okay.
But everybody I worked with was from Rare.
Okay.
So I heard all the stories about, I was there from, Longhorn went from being a roadhouse to being a rancher's home, like no peanuts on the floor, so I was there for that transition. That was that was interesting. I'm
laughing because I remember the peanuts on the floor, dude. And I remember just being like, who deals with this? Like, this is such a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? And I thought it was cool because it was like bread service. And dude, I'll never forget. I'm like in the middle of eating a porterhouse. I got peanuts all over the floor. And then like the music hits and everybody's dancing. Did you ever see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Dude, it was anyway.
Now there's so many peanut allergies. Like, can you imagine?
Oh my
God. I mean, you wouldn't be able to make it through your porterhouse, that's for sure.
And that's the perfect time to get back into insurance sales. So everybody wins.
Yeah. I got some good stories there. But no, Darden was very, very structured.
Okay.
So I went through a 12-week manager training. Yeah. So I'm telling you, it was like I was almost hired by Darden.
Okay.
So then I went to the training office, and then once I got out of training, then I actually went to Orlando to see.
Oh, wow.
So I was like the first group that went to Longhorn training at Darden. So like I closed out my training there. So it was pretty cool. But I trained, and I remember the GM I trained for, his name was Brett. And everybody's like, "Oh, you got to go train with Brett. Like he's the worst. He's the hardest. Like he's an asshole.
He's
and that."
tough.
I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm actually kind of pumped about that. Like I want this guy because I've always been front of house and I've never been back of house, and I had to start in back of house work, every position in the back of house. And he was the guy that put you on the line. Knowing I've never been in back of the house, he put me on grill on Friday night just to see me explode. And that was the first.
You made it, right?
Dude,
you made it.
Dude, I made it. I had like 3 refryers, maybe 1 OD.
Okay.
I pushed out like 400 steaks. Come on.
Are you serious?
Oh, man. We would do like 800 covers. It was
wow.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, it was madness.
Dude, but what an incredible training experience.
I just totally tangent away from hospitality tech, by the way.
No, because this will take us there. So, yeah, I mean, I'm impressed, by the way. Only 3 refires. Well done.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I just made that up.
No, you didn't.
I remember at the end of the shift, he told me, he came up to me. He was like, nice job today. And that was the only compliment in 12 weeks I ever got. And I was like, man, I went home. You talked about when you went home with your $48. I went home that day and I was a grown ass man. And I went home. I was like, hell yeah.
Dude, and then from that moment on, you have grill duty for the rest of your life. I hope you realize that.
Yeah. I had street cred. I still think I'm the man grilling here at home.
Dude, you 100% are. And we'll have to check in. What was his name? Brett? We'll have to check in with him and get a little, was it just 3? If he told you good job, that means he was impressed by your work. So well done. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. So then you go and start working at ExpandShare. And were they
Yep.
not in restaurants at this point?
So they had just they were working with like Hickory Farms, a place called Grotto Pizza, which I think might be
I've
from the
heard of
Jersey
Grotto.
area.
Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah,
Grotto.
it's
Yeah.
like maybe 20, 25 locations. And then we're in talks with Marco's Pizza,
Oh,
which at the
it's a
time
big
was
deal.
like, which at the time was like probably 400 locations they had. Now they have 1,300, fifth
Jeez.
largest pizza chain. Um, but what they recognized through this RFP process with Marco's is like, whoa, like we should go all in on, on restaurants. So that's what I did. I came in and I sold to restaurants. I was cold calling to restaurants. I was focused on enterprise sales though, because we were an enterprise. We weren't a SaaS product.
Okay.
We created custom content for enterprises. So, and I landed a meeting with US Foods, and
And
I remember,
there it begins, right?
and that's where it all started. So I went through this this meeting about because our training was not just good for restaurants. If you think about it, because it's mobile, it's in somebody's pocket. It's also good for dispersed teams when when you have to disseminate information when they're not when they're a deskless worker, which back then it wasn't like everybody's working from home.
Right.
So so I got this meeting with US Foods. While we're in the meeting, and it's to pitch them to sell it to them corporate, they're like, hey, this feels like this would be a good fit for our restaurants. Like we have this partner program called value added services. You guys should interview to be into that program. So I ended up closing the US Foods deal. Took like 14 or 15 months, which was huge for us. I mean, it was a game changer, like the corporate deal.
Yeah.
And then got into the partner program, got into the partner program, but they needed SaaS product. So we didn't have that. They needed something that they could flip off the shelf to all their customers. So me and one of the other partners at ExpandShare was he's like, I feel like we could take our product, what we're doing, and we can make it 80% template, 20% custom. So he wired something up for my meeting that was in Rosemont at US Foods. And he's like, just click on this button and then next screen, click on this button. Don't click on any other buttons because nothing else works. And
Best
we
demo
ended
of
up,
your
they're
life.
like, we love it. This is awesome. Yeah. And it was in November. And then they're like, January, we want you to present this to our whole sales org so we could take this to market. And we're like, it doesn't even exist,
Oh my God. So now you're about to have Thanksgiving and Christmas with a tech sprint.
Yeah. And I just had, and my wife had just had our daughter the first week of November. So it was our first kid too. I didn't take any leave, and but it really did propel things.
Wow.
So we were like one of the fifth, like I don't know, one of the top 5 partners in that program. We filled like a top challenge in restaurants, but it's a tougher ROI for like food sales reps to understand like what's the return on investment of training versus at the time they could talk about online ordering software because they're like, well, if a restaurant has online ordering, they're going to sell more food. If they sell more food, they're going to buy more groceries from us. So
yeah.
But yeah, that was but then we grew within the program, and we were in this like really cool spot where US Foods was our client. They were paying us a software fee. They were using our product to train their sales reps on how to talk about our product to their restaurants.
That's sick.
Yeah,
And then I'm sure they're
sweet.
using modules to like help sales reps like use the online ordering stuff. And it's like, what a fantastic relationship.
Yep. Yeah, it was cool. And then so they still do all of their like quarterly, their new, exclusive product training. They do that through through ExpandShare. But yeah, it was And then the top partner at the time was Chow Now. And so I was at, we would go to 20, 30 shows a year with US Foods, and then Chow Now recruited me to build out a partnership specific sales org, like an outside sales org that would just sell through partners. So, they were like the belle of the ball. And I was like, man, they kind of gave me at the time, like an offer that I felt like I couldn't refuse. So I left ExpandShare. Eric, the founder, didn't talk to me for a year.
Dude, but you landed him like the biggest contract they could ever ask for. So, like you did your thing.
Yeah. And then I walked away from a lot of commission too. Yeah, but no, but he was, so he was bummed, I think, just because he thought that we were the long haul, Yeah. And then, but the experience that I got leaving there, spending a few years at Chow Now, spending some time at Seven Rooms, and then him and I probably like a year and a half later connected. And then I started meeting with him quarterly and kind of doing like consulting, helping him like get into different parts of the, now I was working in partnerships. I was getting more well connected, and I still love the product, love the company. It's based in Cleveland. And then I was at Seven Rooms. I was really enjoying it, and I was in like a global role now. So I was over, partnerships that were in EMEA, APAC, here stateside. And I randomly ran into Eric and his wife. I was with my wife, and we ran into each other at a concert, like jam packed, and we're right next to each other.
What concert was this?
It was Dave Matthews.
Oh, dude.
So
eat, drink, and be
my
merry.
wife's a big fan.
Of course, man. Yeah.
And our wives were hanging out, and we just talked the whole time. And he's like, hey, one day, we're going to be working together again. And I'm like, I don't know, man. You have to put together a pretty compelling offer, because like I'm kind of digging
things are pretty good, now. Right?
Yeah. So we started meeting, and he sat down and he was like, hey, look, I want you to come over, and I want you to lead. I want you to lead the revenue org. And I want to bring you back as a partner. And like, for me, getting ownership stake in a bootstrapped company, I had certain targets that I had to hit in that first year to unlock it. But it's like, I was willing to take the leap of faith, to take a pay cut, to do a number of things and play the long game. And I remember, and I'm, whether you believe this or not, you can ask Eric, he will verify. When he was in the courting process, we were talking through, the goal was like 36 months, like, Ty, come, let's run real fast, and then let's have an exit in 36 months. We have a good growth path right now. And I think if I can bring in the right leaders, we can take this thing. So, we were listing out potential suitors, and US Foods was on the list, but R365 was on the list. And I circled them and I said, look, this is a no-brainer. We fit a piece of their puzzle when it comes to back office. Like, what they do, they can do everything for the employee except train. They can help you hire them. They can help you schedule them. They can help make sure that they're doing the right things as far as like tracking like the business performance, but they can't train them to do the right things. So that was pretty cool, how that came full circle,
That's sick. And like, when you were doing these kinds of approaches, trying to develop a plan to get acquired, were you doing these cold? Were you doing these through connections? Like, how do you even have the conversation of like, hey, we're interested in making a move, or we want to be a part of a bigger organization, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so it was never like that. It was always our plan was to get acquired, but it's like, or at that point we'll be doing so well we won't want to be, but it's that somebody would court us. And um, and that's all typically, especially when you're the small guy, that happens through partnerships, right? Like we can start as a partner, and if we can show value as a partner, then it might make sense to to do something more serious, like potentially get into a white label reseller relationship, or maybe they'll acquire us.
Right.
So I think that was the path that we were going down. We were doing a lot of cool things with other partners. Like about 70% of our revenue was driven through partners. So it was that was really where we were leaning in, where we were spending our money. But I will say, like, coming from a bootstrapped, from a venture backed and then bootstrapped, it's so different because every dollar counts.
It's crazy. You're absolutely right.
It's like there's no play money. It's
hard to make
so
mistakes.
That was yeah, like every hire you feel like has to be the right hire, because of the cost to hire the wrong person and then lose them. Not just the money, but it sets you back how long, because now you got to get back on the grind.
It's the training. It's the you know what I mean? Like it's the strategy. It's the scope. It's the trust me, we've made all those mistakes. And I mean, I've lost friends, sadly, in that too, because thinking that somebody has success in one place and it will translate, it doesn't always, and it's a fickle business, man. I love this industry. I love servicing restaurants, but it's not for the faint of heart. And you definitely have to love the people and what you do and believe in what you're offering in order to like follow through. Cause I mean, there's a lot of reasons people tell you no all day, every day. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And I respect that hustle, man. Cause for example, like from my perspective, when I remember when ExpandShare was acquired by R365. R365 is, a household name now in the restaurant world. My company, Shoebox and Over Easy Office, we started around the same times, and we introduced John and Morgan to like their first few clients in New York because they were already on our invoice platform. And what they've done, honestly, in terms of like marketing, visibility, product, and the acquisitions they've done, it's impressive, man. Like it goes to show you how much can happen in a decade when you're really focused on your outcomes. So it's been really impressive to watch. Now we took we took the ExpandShare route, which has been bootstrapped. It's been boots on the ground, learning with clients. I mean, I still have customers that text me. So we're not insulated. You know what I mean? We don't have layers of team members that can kind of like help navigate issues or whatever. We're involved in everything. So for better or worse, I think it helps. Bootstrapping makes you a whole different beast, and venture backing makes you a whole different beast. You know what I mean? I think so. Yeah. I think you're lucky. I think it's been fantastic that you've been able to see both sides.
Yeah. I'm definitely fortunate, and I take that bootstrap mindset into like how I want to build out the partner program here, because it's not like I'm getting flooded with resources or dollars that I can build out a huge team or do things like that. So it's you got to be a little scrappy. So it's kind of like building a business within a business here.
Absolutely.
I think I can't remember who said it, but somebody in some podcast I listened to, he said there's entrepreneurs and then there's intrapreneurs, and those are the people within businesses who with maybe less guidance can build things within, they have the luxury of the resources of the business that they're in, but they're still building something.
I love that.
And that's what I kind of feel like I'm doing right now.
I love that. And it's an ownership mindset. Me as a business owner and somebody who's, risked a lot to try and, build companies and all that stuff. Like you're the best type of person to have on the team, because it's obvious that you care and you're making decisions like it's your own, right? Like it's your own business, And I think a lot of that comes from, everything, restaurant experience, how you grew up, wanting to accomplish and do great stuff. So it's fantastic. But all right, to finish, cherries on top. So you're a partner in a restaurant, right? With your brother.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
man.
And then there's actually three of us. I'm supposed to be the silent partner. But the primary owner is he actually comes from an accounting background, ironically.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then my brother's the operating partner, and then the other partner that is not so silent.
That works on Sunday shifts at the bar.
Yeah.
So
sometimes Saturdays.
So Ty, considering now all this crazy different experience, because I mean, dude, the Chow Now stuff, impressive. 7 Rooms is another company that in a decade just completely transformed.
Yeah.
How does your involvement and experience in now owning a restaurant or being a partner, silent partner, how does that influence what you contribute to meetings and to like strategy? Because I've got to imagine there's a lot of people that you work with who are incredibly intelligent and who of course also have tons of experience, but might not have the perspective of somebody who's on the other side, right? Who's running restaurants, who's worried about day-to-day, who's worried about payroll, who's going in there, like you said, who is surrounded by people who are grinding it out, who are there 5 days a week, who are just trying to get through to rent and paychecks and maybe have a beer. Like, are you sharing this kind of experience, or do you kind of allow the team to do their thing without being too loud and vocal about your perspectives?
No, I think I definitely speak up when, where appropriate. And I think something that you will definitely agree with, especially with especially with your businesses, is that one of the big things for me is the perspective of the single unit operator. And like why, like whether or not Restaurant365 is a fit for them.
Yeah.
And the short answer is we're not, because they don't have the time to set it up correctly. They're doing 12 different things, right? And they're in there every day, and and then it's like, well, if there's certain volume, it does warrant it. But the reason why it warrants it is I think we're a fit for the single unit operator when we're packaged with a service.
Yes.
Somebody to support them.
Yes.
Because our tool is important for a single unit operator. They just don't have the means to maximize it. So therefore, they're not going to get the most out of it. And if they're not getting the most out of it, then it's not the right tool for them, because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I share insight, a lot is in situations like that. Like, even my brother, who comes from corporate restaurants, and I pulled him over to do this, is like, he used Restaurant365 and he's like, oh man, it would be awesome here. And we haven't rolled it out yet. And why haven't we rolled it out yet? Well, we just did a remodel. We just expanded. And he's like, I just don't have the band. I need one more person in the kitchen where then I could take a step back and I can actually focus on implementing it. So I think that's the perspective I try to share.
Yeah. I'm going to throw this out there to you, Ty, because we've talked about this. If Over Easy Office can make this work for you guys, really what I'd like to do, if you're down for this, and you talk to your partners about it, I know you're the silent one, I've always wanted to have a foot back in, and I'm talking about work a shift with you guys, do an inventory with you guys, see how you guys operate, and maybe be your bar back for the evening. But it's been a long time since I've had an opportunity to be like in the belly of the beast. My last restaurant shift, I want to say, was in 2013. So it's been 12 years since I worked a restaurant shift. Now, I promise I will not eat anything expensive in the walk-in when you're not looking. But just throwing it out there, this could be another podcast episode. Maybe we could you could use me as a guinea pig, and then you could tell the world if I'm actually worth anything on the floor. So just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
That sounds awesome, man. Really, it does.
Well,
I know we talked about this, but we need to get. I need to link me, you, and my brother up, and we'll get something set up for you to come in and hey, here's the thing: we're an open concept kitchen, so everybody's gonna see if you're eating something out of the walk-in.
That's the best theft deterrent there is. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, Ty. So listen, man. Thanks for sharing your story with us. I think to put the cherry on top, I'd like to. So Raquel, who's been very vocal and instrumental in getting a lot of what 86 Reason is about out there. We're recording live from Bogota, and she loves to share some of the goods. Now, of course, coffee.
Why didn't you invite me down? I would have rather came down and did this live.
Listen, don't you worry. Put a pin in that. Oh, we also talked about the pain. But anyway, I don't even know if you can remember. But so chocolate and coffee. Are you a fan of either?
Oh, man, I love coffee.
You do? All right. Do you have a style of coffee that you're into? Because we're in the belly of one of the most prolific and beautiful coffee areas. And we've got a bunch of favorites, Ty. I've got like 5 local coffee shops that are roasters that source from single origins that do every kind of style, from like natural, fruity, acidic to like more balanced, like classic styles, and then everything in between. And these are all coffees that come direct from the farmer. And so me and Raquel are going to go pick out something based on your tastes. What kind of coffee do you like?
Yeah, I'd probably say I'm more of a balanced. I like balanced. I like nutty, fruity.
Done.
I think I've been trying a number of different coffees recently. Ethiopia has some really, really nice stuff as well.
I know exactly what you want. I got you. Because I love Ethiopia too. I love all those heirloom natural styles. Yeah. They're lighter roast. They're beautiful. They're floral. Dude, I love Ethiopian coffee. Sorry, Raquel. She's already pissed at me. I'm sorry. I love Colombian coffee.
I usually do like a medium roast. Light or medium.
Yeah. We want to taste it.
To get more caffeine,
Yeah, and we want to taste it, right? All right, cool. And how about chocolate? You into chocolate?
I've been trying to do the toxin-free coffee, because there's so much, like nowadays, there's so much.
Do you listen to Dave Asprey?
I mean, he comes up on my Instagram, but I know he's got some coffee.
Listen, I do too. Listen, this stuff, so I'll make sure that you've got something it's going to be hand to the roaster, which there's about 5 of them that we love here, handpicked to roaster and roasted and to you within 30 days. It's going to be, I hope, one of the best coffees you've ever had.
Yeah.
I hope. If you don't like it, just lie to me.
A friend of mine here. No, Colombian coffee is amazing. A friend of mine here, his family's from Guatemala, and they have a farm as well. So he brings in. He's actually started a little boutique coffee, coffee wholesaler. And it's like his grandma's, his grandparents' farm. It's pretty cool.
That is rad. I love coffee. I've really gained a new appreciation for
chocolate
here.
Yes, I like chocolate. My wife loves chocolate, but I'm more of a dark chocolate guy.
Done.
I love dark chocolate.
Done. All right.
The darker, the better, to be honest.
What's your limit? I think for me, 80 is my limit.
80 is the sweet spot, man. That's perfect. There is one that I've gotten that's 88. That's good, but 90 is when it becomes sawdust.
90, I think, is when the pleasure is gone. But, they say it's healthy for you. But
yeah, you're eating it just for the antioxidants.
Listen, exactly. Whatever you can tell yourself to enjoy chocolate, I love dark too. So, all right, we got chocolate coming, we got coffee coming, and you're going to tell me when is a good time for me to come work a shift. And we'll do, we should do some content around how we can get a single unit operator up and rolling on the fantastic platform that you represent.
Oh man, this is sounding tasty.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I like it.
Well, Ty,
Hey,
man.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate the conversation, and yeah, I'm looking forward to linking up on the road one day soon too.
That sounds great. You going to be in Vegas for RFDC?
I'll be there.
All right, cool. We'll link up, and Raquel and I will be there. A steak or your choice of food on us.
Sounds good. Well, we can fight over the bill.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you, Ty, man. It was a pleasure, and thanks for sharing your story with us. I'm sure that many people will be interested in how. I mean, you've been on all sides of it, so I appreciate your perspectives, and I hope you have a great shift on Sunday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, Ty. Take care.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
86 Reason Podcast was brought to you by Over Easy Office, outsourced bookkeeping solution